YouTube channel, Be Kind Always. The classroom door slammed shut behind her. All heads turned. But no one said a word. Ella stood there, clutching her books to her chest like a shield. Her eyes flickered across the room, some faces wore smirks, some looked away, and others stared blankly as if she wasn't even there. It was her third week at East Ridge High, and she still hadn't spoken more than a handful of words. She moved silently to her seat in the back corner, her long brown hair falling like a curtain over her face. It wasn't shyness exactly, it was survival. After moving from her old town, the pain of losing her dad, and the anxiety of starting over, Ella had learned that silence meant safety. But safety was about to be shattered. The incident. It was art class. The substitute teacher barely noticed when Ella didn't join the others for group work. She sat alone, sketching in her journal. Drawing was her refuge, her only safe space. But 3 girls from the cheer squad noticed. Madison, the ringleader, had a cruel glint in her eye as she whispered to her sidekicks, Lexi and Brooke. They weren't used to being ignored. And Ella, with her quiet presence and strange talent, became an easy target. Why do you always hide? You got something to be ashamed of? Madison sneered, snatching the sketchbook from Ella's desk. Give it back, Ella whispered, her voice trembling. But they laughed. Loud. Cruel. Ah, the little mouse squeaks. They flipped through the pages, mocking her drawings, mostly soft portraits of imaginary worlds, people she wished she could be, places she dreamed of. That day after school, everything took a dark turn. Trapped. It happened fast. Ella was walking to her locker when they cornered her. Let's play a game, Madison grinned. It's called Make the Mouse a Masterpiece. They dragged her into an empty storage room. Despite her protests, they tied her to a wooden chair with jump ropes stolen from gym class. She screamed, but the halls were already quiet after the final bell. Lexi uncapped a permanent marker. They began to draw across her cheeks, her forehead, her neck. Cruel words. Ugly pictures. Laughing, filming, mocking. They left her there. Tears ran down her face as she stared at her reflection in a cracked mirror on the wall. The ink bled into her skin, but the pain ran deeper. This wasn't just humiliation. This was war. The breaking point. It took her nearly 20 minutes to wiggle one hand free. Her fingers shook, raw from the rope burn, but she didn't stop. Finally, she stood. Face streaked. Shirt torn. Eyes burning. Ella didn't go home. She walked to the art room. It was quiet. Empty. She unlocked the supply cabinet and found what she needed. Spray paints. Acrylics. Chalk. Then she returned to the storage room. What she did next wasn't revenge. It was power. She painted the room. Every wall. The floor. The door. She transformed it into something haunting, beautiful but loud. A storm of color and words and raw emotion. The centerpiece? A mural of a girl tied to a chair, silent but fierce. And surrounding her? 3 wolves with smug faces and names marked beneath them, Madison, Lexi, Brooke. Then she left her signature at the bottom, you tried to mark me. Now I've marked you. The fallout. The next morning, the school buzzed with whispers. Students crowded outside the storage room. Phones out. Pictures posted. The mural went viral in minutes. When Principal Grant saw it, he demanded answers. But he didn't need to dig far. A student anonymously sent him the video Madison had posted to a private group. Proof. Madison, Lexi, and Brooke were suspended. But Ella was called into his office for a different reason. I know what you did, the principal said. And while I can't condone vandalism, I also can't ignore bravery. He handed her sketchbook back. There's an art showcase coming up. I want you to enter. The healing. Ella wasn't ready. Not yet. But something had shifted. Students who had once ignored her now greeted her in the halls. One even apologized for laughing the day the bullies stole her sketchbook. She started sitting with a small group at lunch: Jasmine, who had a stutter, Nate, who wore hearing aids, and Omar, who'd been bullied for his weight. Her quiet didn't make her invisible anymore. It made her authentic. And weeks later, when the art show came, Ella stood proudly next to her mural, cleaned, framed, and renamed. Break the chains. Final message. Ella's story isn't just about bullying. It's about reclaiming your voice even when it shakes. About fighting back with courage, not cruelty. And most importantly, it's about turning pain into power. So, if you're watching this and you've ever felt small, silent, or stuck, remember, you are stronger than you think. And your voice, your art, your words, they matter.